Hello guys, it's Miss Robinson, just giving you a little bit of a review before today's quiz. Again, today's quiz is on 8.1 and 8.2, so I'll go over each real quickly. And then if you have any questions afterwards, make sure to leave a comment or send one of us an email before you take the quiz, because you will only have the one chance. So 8.1 was on graphing, linear equations. And to review that, I want to start with something that people seem to have a greater struggle with: rate of change. And rate of change can be a little bit difficult because there's two types of rate of change. There is constant rate of change, and there is variable. Okay, constant rate of change is going to be the same difference is for every point. So, if I had an XY chart, to be constant, the change in the x's and the change in the y's between each point should be the same. So, just making up a little example right here. Okay. So this is going to be constant because the change in my x and the change in my y is going to be the same between every point. I'm adding one, and I'm adding one. I'm adding one, and I'm adding one. Okay, and that's the same for each of these 8 points. As I go up one on the x's, I go up one on the y's to graph it. Okay, but a variable rate of change, actually I'm going to move this down a little bit. I thought it would take less room to draw that table. So a variable rate of change is when the differences between points are not the same for each point. This means that it is not going to be the same. Actually, that's fine. Okay, and to show this one, I'll use red because it's different. Okay, actually, let me finish drawing the table because those could get mixed up. So, no matter what, I'm adding one to my x's, it seems. Okay. But is my change in the y's for each add on the x's the same? Let's see. Here, I added 1. Here, I added 1. But here, I added 2. 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 If you notice, since it's not the same here and say here, this is going to be variable. It's not going to be a constant rate of change. Okay, so that's rate of change. Don't get confused with mixing up rate of change with slope, or what did I do? Okay. Oh, there we go. I figured out how to work this. Okay. So that is rate of change. So rate of change is not going to be the same as slope, and I don't want us to mix that up. Rate of change is just constant, or variable. Okay. Right, put that on. Ooh. Then we have actual, is a graph linear or not? That's the other half of 8.1. Okay, to tell whether a graph is linear or not, first off, the best thing is to make a table to determine your ordered pairs. Then I want to graph it on a coordinate plane. Okay, if it is a straight line, it is linear. So, one example of this, I wonder, can I, nope, that's not what I want to do. Never mind. Okay, so let's do two different examples. Let's do y equals x plus 1. Okay, so then my x plus 1, and my y's, I'll do 4 values. Negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. And 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay. Now I wanted to explain rate of change first because we use rate of change to determine if it's linear. The change in my x's between the points and the change in my y's between the points needs to stay constant in order for it to be linear. So in this example here, it is a constant rate of change, so it will be linear. If I were to graph this, I apologize for how bad it's going to be. Okay. Okay. It will look like this. Straight line, if I could draw any better. Okay. But an example of a nonlinear graph, y equals x squared. And I'll show you why it is not linear. X squared, y. Okay. And for this one, I'm just going to use 1, 0, 1, 2, and that's enough for us, okay? So negative 1 squared is 1, 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1, and 2 squared is 4. Going back to my rate of change, I'm adding 1 to my x's, I'm adding 1 to my y's, adding 1 to my x's, adding 1 to my y's. It seems good, but then I'm adding 1 to my x's, and I add 3 to my y's. My rate of change is not linear, so, or is not constant, I'm sorry. So it will not be linear. And if I were to graph this, it would go up like that. A lot better than I just did it. And that is not a linear graph. Okay, I'm gonna draw it one more time. There we go, that was better. And that is not linear. So that is 8.1. And I'm sorry if this is not the best video. Please, if you have any questions at the end, make sure you're commenting at the bottom or sending myself, Ms. Kirschbaum, or Ms. Gates an email, okay? Now, going into 8.2.